This is the place to be, and the place to be is the MacAttack Show. One, shut down the phone, turn off the TV, and put the Do Not Disturb sign on the door because the MacAttack is about to give you so much more. Sit back, relax, and let your mind ebb and flow as we travel on our yellow brick journey of fate and faith. I am Clyde Dowdy Jr., a.k.a. Cool Mac, the VP AD for Bowie State University. I'm joined by my lovely co-host, the cosmopolitan one, Jackie J. Mac McWilliams, the commissioner of the CIAA. The MacAttack is an uptown, downtown, crosstown stroll inside and outside of the resilient CIAA. J. Mac, who do we have on the show today?
Well, it's good to see you, Clyde. I'm cosmopolitan today. That's pretty awesome. I like to be
awesome. You're awesome.
Well, it's good to see everyone today. Clyde, we have a great lineup. It gets better and better every week. And you know I have a heart for CIAA family. So when we can bring our family members back, they don't ever go too far, but they do great things when they go. We've got Ayanna Tweedy, former student athlete at Bowie State University, and is just blossoming in the career of being a woman leader, in college athletics. So I'm so glad to have Ayanna, and Terrika Foster-Brasby, who went to St. Augustine's University. We're so glad she's doing amazing things as well with the ESPN podcast and probably a bunch of other stuff. So I can't wait to hear where they are and where their road has traveled. And thank you for coming back home and visiting your family. We love you guys. So that's what we got, Clyde. I'm ready.
You know how you say, Jackie, CIAA for life, and that's just what we do. We got lifers here. So right. I'm going to ask you ladies, Commissioner gave you those great introductions and told us about your history, but I want you to go a little bit more in depth and tell us, how did the CIAA help and shape you to where you're at today? And we'll start off with Terrika.
Well, first and foremost, thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure to be joining you both today. I don't know where I would be, quite honestly, without my experience at St. Augustine's University. And I'm so happy. First of all, let me tell you how I know I'm with CIAA family. Because you said St. Augustine's and not St. Augustine, right?
I remember that a long time ago.
Oh my goodness. I'm all the time. People are like, you went to St. Augustine? You went to school in Florida? And I'm like, Lord have mercy. No. No. So but yeah, coming from St. Aug was really quite an experience. One like that I never heard. First of all, if no one's ever been to, seen, or been a part of the CIAA tournament, you're missing a treat. And that was something that I was completely oblivious to until I became a student here. So that was number one. And number two, just the groundwork that is put in by everyone that I've come across and that I've met throughout this process. I played softball at St. Augustine's University from 2006 to 2010. And quite honestly, like, my coach was the bomb. My teammates were the bomb. We didn't always have the best of seasons, which has changed dramatically since then and now. But either way, I felt like those experiences just really shaped me and put me in a position to be successful because they challenged me. They challenged me to step outside my box. They challenged me to understand, like, you're coming from a different background and a different experience than some other people. And you're going to have to really go 120% to make sure that you're put on the forefront above everyone else. And I appreciate that. So definitely helped me get where I am.
Let's go, Bulldog. What you got for us?
I mean, Terrika said everything. I mean, I want once again, thank you all for having me on the MacAttack. I appreciate the opportunity. Being a part of the Bulldog family was an experience that I always loved talking about. From beginning to end, being a student athlete on the women's track and field team, for being a SAC president, going and serving on the conference level and national level. I will always remember that I have people in my back pocket that will tell me what I'm doing wrong, but also cheer me on and be my cheerleaders no matter what. And just unbelievable. I mean, I always preach about the HBCU experience as something that's life-changing. And growing up in a PWI just community from elementary school to high school, I didn't understand my history until I went to Bowie State University and being a part of CIAA for life. And it's something that I echo, that you never know who you are until you have a close circle of people that will push you, that will encourage you, that will give you the tools and the tricks of the trade. I didn't think I was going to be in athletics. I was going to be in education, focusing on 5 and 6 year olds, and then taking a leap out on faith and working with SAC and seeing like, okay, I can have a really strong voice in this area, and never knew that I was going to be anybody's associate athletic director at all. So I am truly honored and blessed for my mentors in the field that got me to where I am and that are still pushing me to be greater. And I mean, key moments of like homecomings, knowing your professors by name and them knowing you by name is something that I will always keep dear to my heart. But it's a family that I will always be grateful for. And anytime I can pick up the phone and vent or just call somebody for advice, my CIAA for Life is always there.
Love it. I love it. You know, as you were talking, I just think about our whole, you know, our mantra of CIAA is about tradition, it's about leadership, and it's about community. Mm-hmm. And you guys have touched a little bit of it, but who has influenced you to be in the space that you are in? Ayanna, you just talked about you are working with children still. They're just adult children.
Yeah, long as they ain't got a W-4 yet, so they're still children.
You know, you're just dealing, you know, I'm supposed to be a child psychologist, and I feel like I use my psychology every day. So just talk a little bit about, the whole leadership and the tradition in the community and where you are and how you use that in your current role and position. I think I asked 2 questions in 2 questions. Mm-hmm.
I didn't bring any tissue, so hopefully I do not cry as much. But I mean, off the bat, AD Clyde and Commissioner McWilliams are one of my 2 go-to people. When I am looking, not just looking for a job, but looking for someone that can pour into me, I always shout out my Commissioner McWilliams. And even though no matter what conference I'm a part of, that is my commissioner. She is it. She's on my vision boards. That is who I want to emulate when I become a commissioner one day. But I mean, all the women leaders that served in any capacity when I was a student athlete. Miss Tanya, what is Miss Walker? I don't know why my names are going. Miss Tanya Walker. Oh my gosh, there's so many. Peggy Davis, she knows me by name. She knows my mother and my sister. And so when they see me serving and on different committees, applying to different jobs, they're my ambassadors when I'm not in the room. And I knew that there was some things inside of me that I had to work on. I had a mouth on me that till this day I remind myself I'm not that person no more. Don't do it.
I've been on the receiving end of a few of them too.
And I know the right people to say, you know what, you shouldn't have said that, and here's a better way to do it. And so fine-tuning me allowed me to blossom in other facets. And I know that I wouldn't have been able to find that I guess mother and father figure role in anybody else than the people that had groomed me in the CIAA. And my demeanor has completely changed. Even when I'm facilitating the DISC assessment, I tell everyone that I was a strong D at one point in time. I'm not a D anymore. I still have traits of a D, but it's not as dominant because I'm now serving a larger body. It's not about my ideas all the time. It's about the people that I serve. And going into work every day, knowing that I'm serving my student athletes and my coaches and my admin is more important to me now than my own direction. And so, I mean, leadership all the way through that, it's because of the people that Arlene Creeks, everyone of that caliber pushed me and molded this fragile young lady that you see in front of you to be who I am today.
I'm gonna need some tissues in a few minutes. You keep this up, lady. I'm telling you.
Proud of you, Ayanna. We have watched you, and I think what makes this, I think what's unique about you, and when we do see athletes who are former athletes and how they blossom, is that they're coachable, even as they want to learn and they're hungry to get better. And so it's just like a student athlete. You want to be better in track, you got to do the work. You want to be better in softball, you got to do the work. And so to be a professional, to be a Clyde, to be myself, to be either one of you, you got to do the work. And so what is that work that you put in? And we watched you do the work. right? And so I'm just really proud of you. So we're proud of you. Quiet.
Thank you.
Look at us. I know. Hope keep it together. Trina, how about you? How about you?
Well, it's so interesting because what I was doing at St. Aug is absolutely completely the other side of the world of what I'm doing now. I was a poli-sci major in undergrad, so I thought I was going to be a lawyer. I had a strong social science department that was always there behind me. But like Ayanna, I had a mouth. Oh, and still have a mouth, right? The only difference is I work in a place where I can use this mouth for the good, right? But I think who really pushed me to be where I am now are my fellow students. Like, I'm a producer at ESPN. I talk about sports all the time. I have to argue about stuff all the time, believe it or not. I mean, that's what we do and how we have a lot of fun in it. And so all those moments where I'm going back and forth with people in the cafeteria, on the yard, on the quad, and like all of those moments that we probably just put in and out of our head as just, childhood on campus moments actually helped to groom me to be a better producer. It helped me to look at things from different perspectives because you got people coming at you from different angles all the time. And it's not easy being a woman in this field because there aren't too many of us. And there definitely aren't too many of us that look like me. So it's important that, I continue to try to open the door. So one of the things that we make sure that we do, and Jackie, I know you know this because you were one of the people who we invited on. I produced the Around the Rim Women's Basketball podcast with LaChina Robinson, and we make it a point to bring women, Black women, HBCU women, and I'm like, no matter what we're doing, we will make sure the CIAA is represented. So I need coaches, I need commissioners, I need everybody, like students, like anytime that there's an activity or an opportunity for me to highlight something or someone from the CIAA, I'm like, LaChina, we're doing this. We're doing this. I'm booking this. We have to have this. And I just have to credit my community, my group of people at St. Aug who really pushed me to do that. My coach, Coach Dorothy Neal, she's still coaching now. She pushed me and was like, listen, T, you a little wet behind the ears, but I'm gonna get you together. And if you know Coach Neal, she's real laid back. She's not really a yeller. She's not really, but she'll get you together, right? And so she took a different approach with me, and I appreciate it. Some of my professors, again, as a poli-sci major, I was always arguing. I was always, putting myself out there to be the number one, the first one, the one who wants to answer, the one who wants to do this. So they had to teach me how to scale it back and where to put this energy, where to put this mouth, where to put this, and it's definitely helped me today. So I'm eternally grateful.
Hey, what are some of the challenges, Ayanna and Terrika, you're facing in your jobs right now? I know COVID is a major issue for all of us, but outside of dealing with COVID, what are some of the daily challenges that you feel as a leader, as someone who's in the business that aren't a lot of folk that look like you, and how do you deal with them?
Ooh, Terrika, you want to go first?
Right? So, right, like, wait, you said we're not politically correct, right? Okay.
We definitely not politically correct. Because if anybody listens to me,
give me time to process my words.
I just told you I got a mouth, right? So, but no, there are several challenges. There's the challenge of, especially in my field, how do I discuss issues that affect us, that affect Black women, that affect Black people, that affect, HBCU culture? How do I discuss this in a mainstream form that doesn't come across as being abrasive or doesn't come across as, too insensitive for some? Like, you have to find that balance. And that is something that was really challenging in the beginning, especially in 2020, how this year started, everything that was happening and what was going on. It was like, how do I discuss this in a way that, for lack of better terms, is acceptable? And it's not the most comfortable feeling because you don't always want to feel like you're making other people comfortable. I think people learn better when they're in uncomfortable situations. But at the same time, I have to also understand, okay, I'm being looked at and I'm being whether I want to or not, people are going to look at me as a representative of the whole, right? So what I do and how I act and what I say and how I present this, whether I want people to or not, they're going to look at me and they're going to say, oh, is that how Black girls act? Or is that what people at ESPN do? Or is that what, you know what I mean? So the challenge was trying to find that balance of being able to discuss the tough issues, of being able to create content that is relevant and meaningful without necessarily feeling as if you're crossing any lines. And that's tough. That was really tough for me this year because I had so many thoughts and so many opinions and so many things I wanted to say that were not always politically correct. And I had to be mindful of how I
processed,
how I process those things, as well as how I explain those things and how I let other people see me in that element. And it was tough. Like I wanted to go on Twitter and I wanted to go off on everything, on everybody. When the Breonna Taylor thing came out, I wanted to just scream and say certain things and do certain things. And I had to get with my host. And I had to get with other people and say, okay, listen, we're all angry about certain things. We all feel a certain way about certain things. But what's the best way to put that out that really showcases our frustration, but still allows us to be in a lane that allows us to keep our job, for lack of better terms. And that, to me, that was and has been the most challenging thing in this position.
And before I get to Ayanna, did anyone help you with that whole process that you just talked about? Evaluating what you say politically, and then I guess eventually, like, I hear you, because when I first started off, there's a lot of things I wanted to say as a Black man in this white environment. But as I gained experience and I came from a base of knowledge, they couldn't mess with the boy anymore. So, then you're able to say something that you couldn't say early on because now you've gained experience and time in the business.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'll credit back to my experiences at St. Aug, to be honest, because as a poli-sci major, there were some things that we had to talk about that weren't comfortable to everybody, and you had to figure out ways in order to discuss that. And so I had to channel back in some of my professors. Thank God I still have a great relationship with some of those professors from back then. So I had to channel that. I also had to reach out to other people in the industry who have been doing this a lot longer than me and just say, if this were you, how would you handle it? Not necessarily that, I'm going to do what you did, but you're successful and you've been successful at conveying your thoughts and feelings in a way that is conducive to your job. So how did you handle that? I reached out to people like Jamel Hill. That's my girl. We go all the way back from Detroit. So I had to reach out to her and like, look, how did you handle this? Because you were in the light, girl. You were in the light. And how were you able to do that? My host, LaChina Robinson, she is another one who we came together, off the record and basically expressed ourselves, and then came back and said, all right, now that we know this is how we feel, how do we convey this in a way? So it really took talking to a bunch of different people, getting different perspectives, and even talking to some of my white colleagues to get, where they're coming from, or not necessarily where they're coming from, but to get how they are viewing it and what we could do or say to help them understand or help other people like them understand where they're feeling. So it just really took about just getting different perspectives and understanding that, for me especially, I'm the only Black female producer in ESPN radio. I can't afford to mess up because I don't want that door to shut for somebody else after me. So it was I was trying to be very cautious and very careful, and it just took a lot of perspectives to get to that point.
So it takes a village to manage what you've done. Hey, so Ayanna, you've gone from the East Coast to the West Coast. Now you're smack dab in the middle of the United States. So tell us about some of the challenges that you experienced. Don't be shaking your head, Jackie, at me. Don't be shaking your head.
As Terrika was talking, a lot of thoughts, words that had been said to me started bubbling back up to the surface. And I don't know if it's because that I'm not done dealing with it yet, or I'm still in shock that it happened to me during my transition. And I mean, like it's already been said, it takes a village to move you past your obstacle, or not just move past it, walk through it. And I think the biggest challenges that I've had to deal with is understanding that racism in sports is real, not just as a student athlete, but as an administrator and a coach, gender bias. And I wouldn't even use ageism as an issue, but because I am an African-American woman in the department, you choose not to listen to what I'm saying, or you choose not to follow the direction of where the team is going because of the color of my skin, because you don't feel like it. And then I still have to, as a leader, still work with you every day, pretend you don't exist, and be mindful that we're still here for our student athletes. Mm-hmm. That has been my hardest pill to swallow, because I wasn't raised to do that. That was not something that being at a HBCU taught me. You do not dislike the person that doesn't look like you. This is a team atmosphere. All your teammates don't look like you. So why is it different that now I'm in the professional world and that we're supposed to be on a team and people don't want to act right? I'm not sure. Well, you're not my supervisor type of deal. I'm not your direct report, but you're supposed to be a part of this team. And the ultimate goal is to make sure that we provide a healthy and safe student athlete experience. And I've had plenty of conversations with my peers about it, and even some mentors that say, why does this happen? Why is it so hard to have a conversation about race in the workplace? Or just the simple things as microaggressions. What you believe or assume to believe that you think that I may understand is not the same as what I actually understand. Asking the questions and not being so timid to hurt someone's feelings, but you're asking for clarity to see my perspective. I wasn't always given that opportunity. People would just make that assumption for me. Mm-hmm. And so when I moved up from the different ranks, GA to a coach to assistant AD, now associate AD, I realized that it's not always me. Like, I'm not always the problem. And there was moments in my I guess literally past 3 years where I felt like I was the problem. Got down to it, it wasn't me, it was them. And I mean, till this moment, I'm sitting here at home. I didn't meet all my coaches in person. I met them through Zoom. So you don't really know me. You don't know where I stand. You don't know anything. And living in a red state, let's be honest, I was very uncomfortable at first. But I have an AD who had my back. Anything I needed, he was there. And I felt like I was a part of a team. I felt wanted. I felt needed. My ideas and my resources felt valued. And even to this point, now I've been on campus and met a couple people, I'm already ingrained into the student affairs piece in a way because people value me. And at my previous institution, I didn't feel that way because of what I looked like, my age, it being in an interim space, you may not always have everyone that's a part of the vision in the temporary moment, but I came to work knowing that it's not about me, it's about my students. And at many nights that I cried, many nights where I said, you know what, I'm just gonna throw everything out the window. It's just say, you know what, I don't want this temporary role. Give it to somebody else. But my students needed me, and regardless of how many times I had to fix my face, adjust my posture, because I know when I slouch or when I fold my arms, that means I'm done. I'm sound off. I couldn't do that anymore, regardless of how bad it hurt. Being at team meetings and knowing that someone on the other side of that table doesn't want to be a part of this group. Now I'm in the space where I can say, well, if you don't want to be here, you can leave. And so I can say that. And I can be comfortable in saying, that's not the goal. Your own desires and selfishness does not help us get better. And the last couple of pieces that really helped me refocus on my challenges is understanding that everyone is not in a good space when it comes to being vulnerable about the process. And we've always heard of the I guess the word of you have to be vulnerable to grow, and you have to be vulnerable in order to change the atmosphere that you're in. It is real. And if you can't be vulnerable with yourself, who's going to be vulnerable with you? And our student athletes are asking us to be vulnerable every day. And some people, they don't know how to turn that light on. but it has to be intentional and it has to be genuine. And so these intentional relationships that we build with our coaches, they have to start with the idea to say, I am human just like you. And in order for us to find common ground, we need to figure out what things are in our way to make us, that will make us not so successful. And so I felt that I have a rock in the way in my experience, that sitting down, having a conversation, be open and vulnerable about me and my experience has helped others. And I've actually told a previous coach that nothing that I can go through from now, and I guess I know I'm shooting myself into the future, but the hardest thing I really had to experience was the passing of my father 3 years ago. Nothing can top that. And at this moment in my life, you can't tell me that coming to work is just as hard, or I'm bored at work. So I want to play, and everything in COVID's messing up. That to me is an excuse, and I've been very open and honest about that. I said there are some things in your life that have been much bigger than this moment, but if you can wake up and be thankful that God put breath into your lungs, that you can walk with 2 feet, you can see, and that you can eat. This moment of COVID is just temporary. So don't tell me you can't come to work, you can't show up for your student athletes. So all this minutia about all this, I just don't even listen to it anymore, because if I can get through the passing of my dad, I can get through anything on this earth. And when the Lord says it is well, and I get to see him again, that's when I know that I've done my due diligence. But until then, I have to still work. I have to keep pushing. I have to keep finding new things that my student athletes can do. Teach these young, and I have a population of just young men. So I have like 850 students on campus that are all men, and some life skills that our coaches can teach. You all can be teaching them now. And I need to stop talking, because I'm gonna run over time. But that's one of the things that I always think about. There's nothing bigger than that moment. So I'm gonna stop talking, because I'm gonna keep going.
Yo, I'm sitting here thinking it's Sunday, but it's Monday. You know,
I was doing it though.
we were all mesmerized, man. You see how silent we were?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I love it. I was sitting here taking notes.
Word.
Well, I think that's part of the life journey, right? And the fact that we've been able to go to historically Black colleges and endure the journey there with some challenges, as athletes, as human beings, as whatever, and be able to go back out in the space and take that journey with you. And then learn something new on the journey. I do believe the isms are real and they exist. I've been seeing them since I was a kid. Even at your age, Ayanna, I was too young to know too much and had too many degrees to not give it, like, you just couldn't win, right? Yeah. And then the color of your skin, I mean, Clyde, we always have these conversations, the color of your skin alone gives people pauses. And in a life, I understand where it comes from. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's just dumb. And I know that's not a nice word to say, but it's just dumb. But I think the beauty of it is that you two are navigating through the space and people are watching you, and you're trusting in a village to help and give you support to manage that. And what I would say to you is, don't ever lose those great skills and inside of your heart in using your voice. Again, you just learn how to use it in a different way, but don't ever not say it.
Yeah.
Right? Don't ever not say what you want to say. You just figure out how to say it, or have other people say it for you to get it across. Right? That's the position that you're in. Right, Clyde? I mean. Absolutely. And, Jackie, based on what you have said, our Blackness gets there before we do, because social media exposes all of us to everything. So they know exactly who we are and what we're all about. So you got to expect that when you walk in the door now, that they already have a beat on who you are, or they think they know who you are. But then you have to now go in and tell your story. And that's exactly what you ladies are doing right now in a big, powerful way. So you'll continue to be that voice of righteousness, devotion, dedication. Yes. Here we go on the MacAttack, right here, right now. Who will you two tell I mean, and I know we're gonna wrap up here shortly, but what would you tell the students now? What would you tell the students at St. Aug or at Bowie State or in the CIAA? What do they need to know?
I would first tell the students that St. Aug, like, this is not as bad as you think it is, right? When you're there, you're like, oh God, I can't wait to be done with this. I can't wait until I graduate. I can't. Soak all of that in, because the moment that you do leave, the moment that you are done, you're just like us, can't wait to come back, can't wait for homecoming, can't wait to get back, can't wait to see those faces and be in those moments and share those experiences. So don't rush it, experience it and enjoy it, soak it in, take it in, and understand that all of the experiences that you have, whether they be negative or positive, is really preparing you. I mean, and I know that sounds so cliche, but it's real. There are some of my counterparts, and this is no shade to PWIs, because I went to a PWI as well. It's where I got my master's degree. So I understand totally, right? It's no shade. But there are just certain things that you come across that help you for the better at HBCUs that no Black student union at a PWI is ever going to prepare you for. That it's ever going to truly show you what it's going to be like in the work field when someone like me has to change my name from Terrika to Terry, so that you don't prejudge my application, you know what I mean, or prejudge my resume. So I would just literally tell them, understand the experiences that you're having right now, be it positive or negative. It is preparation for the future. Take it in, enjoy it, learn from it, and apply it. Don't just have it in your back pocket. Apply it, and you'll come out better for it.
I love it.
I think the only thing that I can add to that is going back to just intentional relationship building. Mm-hmm. Don't go through your 4 years of your undergraduate experience and you only got your degree. You should have gained not just good best friends for a lifetime, but your professors, the administration. You should have people that you can go to that have poured into you for all these years to pour right back into. Not just give financially to your institution, but give your time. Because there's going to be a lot of jobs that you do that you will not get paid for. Because I know I didn't. So give the gifts that you have, that God gave you, and give it to someone else. Find a mentor on campus, but then once you graduate, find someone else that you could pour back into. I don't care what classification that they deem themselves as, but always pour back into the community that poured back into you.
Yeah.
And just be grateful. I mean, like Terrika said, I want to go to homecoming every day. If I could just replay it. I mean, it's right. Just have a replay button. Because you will never get this experience back. It is, take your time during this time of the waiting period. Work on some things that inside of you. Go to counseling. Go to all these free resources on campus. Because when you become a graduate, these resources are not free no more. So I suggest you use them up. Okay. If you don't have a benefits package when you graduate, you're gonna have to go find somebody to help you out. But utilize the resources that you have on campus that will set you for life. I mean, I wish that I was able to take on half the resources that I thought of outside of athletics. I mean, of course, as a student athlete, you have a lot at your fingertips, but there was some things on campus that I could have leaned in a little bit more and that weren't so athletic heavy. And so if I could go back, I would definitely be a little bit more ingrained into just even my education department and student affairs. So, I mean, yeah, just take it all in. Don't rush. Please don't rush.
Ayanna and Terrika, what you ladies are talking about is so important right now, because our young people don't realize that someone's always looking. Mm-hmm. And you get paid to do a job, but service and commitment and mentorship are things that people notice all the time. And that's part of your portfolio. So, and it eludes a lot of young people. They feel that, I'm not getting paid, I'm not going to get show up. What is it for me? But, I was able to be where I'm at today because I volunteered for a lot of things and I learned. And that learning is priceless. That old commercial said, you pay for this, you pay for that, you pay for this. That part, volunteering, was priceless, and it helped me build my portfolio. Mm-hmm. But before we go, Jackie and I always got a question. Out of every pain, there comes some gain. So what did y'all gain inside the pain of COVID that you didn't do because y'all are all busy? I know y'all are going back and forth, running around. Yeah, Terrika, smile for me because you just thought of something. What did you do for yourself during this period when you're sheltered at home and couldn't run around that you couldn't do for yourself when you're on the radio, keeping it real? Go ahead, T.
I'm gonna tell you, I have figured out that I can do way more with like video platforms than I ever. First of all, I never heard of Zoom until March. Now, if I never see the letter Zoom again, I'm totally okay with that. Okay, but I really have figured out, and I guess this is some nerd technical stuff, but I figured out I could do a lot of stuff via video conference now that I didn't realize that I could do before. And so as much as I'm tired of Zoom, I might still be a little lazy in some areas once all this is over and be like, you know what, just video chat me. Don't even I don't have to drive 35 minutes. Cool, let's video chat.
Exactly. I mean, for me, I'm a new homeowner, so a lot of things that I saw as a when I say little girl that I pay attention a lot with my parents, I'm doing now. So I didn't realize how strong it was till I started owning a home. And everything that I see, as long as I got some duct tape and some glue, I think I'll be okay for the temporary. And then when I get paid, I can fix it. But for the temporary, I'm okay. I know how to work the system now. And then knowing that you can have a supplemental income. I didn't realize how strong I was until I became vulnerable with myself and created a podcast and finding new ways to reach other people. So those are the two things that I learned in COVID.
Okay, yep. That's so great.
Yana, what's the name of your podcast?
Vulnerable Leadership Podcast.
Outstanding.
Yep.
We got
I love it. It's so you.
You know,
Thank
ladies,
you.
We really want to thank your enthusiasm, the love for your institutions that meant so much to you, for being CIAA for life. So you continue to do what you do because you're doing it so very well. Mac, JMac, take us away.
Well, Clyde, you said it all. I just want to thank you ladies for being the women that you are, the Black women that you are, the daughters that you are, and the alumnus that you are. You are CIAA for life. We're here for you however you need us, wherever you need us. Terrika, Terry, that's funny because
that's hilarious.
My name at one point, so that is hilarious. I can be Jacqueline if I need to.
Jackie, I used to be Clark. I'm Clark.
You got to do it all about survival, but however we can help you breathe a little bit better and to survive as you navigate, just call us. We're here for you. So I'm so glad that you joined us today. Y'all are incredible and amazing women, and keep planting seeds and bringing people up as you go. So thank you so much. Enjoy this grateful holiday season because there is a lot to be thankful for as we get through the end of the year, and the sun will continue to shine regardless, right? And so just thank you for just being a beacon of light for Clyde and I today. This is probably like the top of our Monday because we start out pretty hard. So
after the weekend, yeah, they're coming at us.
Brave.
Coming at us at 8 o'clock, but by this time, it's just like, yes, you remind us why we do what we do. So thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you all.
Y'all be good now. Take care of yourselves.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey.
Bye-bye.